Welcome to today's video. The theme is, why do people keep drinking ayahuasca? Why, if it's so good for you, people have to keep going back? Doesn't mean it's addictive. Doesn't mean that it doesn't work. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna end up becoming a lifelong client of some South American shaman that just wants my money. Right? These questions are reasonable, and quite often we worry because maybe we see friends, family, people we know taking it over and over and over. So if it's really as good as they say, if it can cure you from so many things, then why do you need to do it more than once? So in this video I'm going to share about 4 main reasons of why people keep drinking ayahuasca. All right. So reason number 1, and you may have guessed it, is people fall in love with the process and not the integration. What I mean through this is, it's very easy to feel like you're doing work during ayahuasca because you remember your past trauma, your history, you vomit them out, you're actually cleansing your body. You can go through a roller coaster of a movie of your own story, your own fears, and come back into a beautiful place. And although the experience of drinking ayahuasca is not pleasant by any means, all the vomiting, and it can be quite rough mentally and physically, afterwards most people feel rather at peace and bliss, and it has a good ending most of the time. And this can become a source of distraction for many people. What do I mean by this? There are people in our community that I've seen over the years that come back once a month or every couple of months, but very little in their life changes. And this happens because they don't give themselves time to integrate. They're really excited about the process, the visions, the spirits, the shamanic side of it, and they forget that it's only a tool meant to be used to improve their life. So that's the first reason that people keep coming back sometimes, and is that they're actually not doing the work, but because it feels as if they're doing it, they think that the more they drink, the more they're gonna grow. And it's not like that. It's like going to church. We all agree that we've all seen or all had a friend, a family member who goes to church quite often, and they're not the nicest people. But they think that the more they go to church, the more they pray, the better people they're gonna be. And it's not true, because they're not applying what they learn in the sermons, in the speech from the priest, right? Now, the reason number 2 is that quite often we will realize that there is a lot damage that we have done to our system by the time that we decide to drink the medicine. So 20 plus years, 30, 40 years of maybe substance abuse, maybe unhealthy habits of thinking, maybe of being depressed, anxious, then we believe or we expect that in one night that's going to be cleaned up, and that's not the case. Imagine you have a very, very big house, a very big and beautiful home, and then you expect that in one night you're going to clean all of it, even though you have neglected it for 20, 30 plus years, right? It's unrealistic. And this is what most people find out, that their first ayahuasca retreat becomes a before and after in their life. It allows them to understand in a deeper way who they are, why they are the way they are, what has worked, what didn't work, to heal some very deep-rooted traumas, but also shows them that it's a process that's going to require deeper involvement, that you don't fix 30, 40 years of toxicity in one night. You could, but it would be way too overwhelming for the mind and for the body. Sometimes we have cases of people that cure themselves of cancer, autoimmune diseases, some lifelong depressions, and they do so in just a few days. But usually that person is the person that ends up losing their mind for a few hours, vomiting themselves, pooping their pants, screaming. Like they go through, in their own words, sometimes what feels like hell to release a lot of stuff in a small period of time. So for most people, that's not the case, and that's healthy because most people's minds and body are not ready to have such a cathartic release in which you destroy or dismiss 30, 40 years of conditioning in 2 or 3 nights. So second reason people keep coming back is because they realize that this was useful, that they healed, they changed, they felt better, they saw results in their life, they healed their relationships, their health, but they also realize that there's more to it, and they want to continue doing the work. Like they notice that this is a useful tool, a very, very useful tool. So when the time feels right, they come back to keep learning, to keep growing. Number three, ayahuasca for me, for example, is a sort of spiritual shower. And the challenge is that if I were to live in a place like this, right now I'm by Lake Atitlan, maybe you can see it, deep immersed in nature. If I lived here, there will be very little worries, maybe little interaction with the outside world, and life could be rather chill and relaxed. But I live in the city, in downtown Toronto. I move in a lot of different communities. And usually, when we live in the cities, we are exposed to a lot of stuff that is not supportive of a spiritual process, starting from the food, the water, the air that we breathe, the information that comes to us through social media. There's many things that gets us, I don't want to say dirty, but gets our energy a little bit blurry and clogged and cloudy. So it's useful for me, at least once a year, when I'm feeling heavy and charged, and my daily practices are not enough to keep my energies clean, like with yoga, with meditation, and so on. Drinking ayahuasca is a way of taking a deep cleanse. I release things that maybe I don't even notice that I brought into myself: emotions, energies, sensations. So that's the third reason that people keep coming back, and is that they realize that they need a little bit of a reset. It's not that they're hurting, it's not that they're in massive pain, but they realize that the quality of consciousness with which they left the retreat now seems a lot more distant, and confusion is coming back, and they realize that maybe they haven't been the best at keeping up their resolutions, their commitments. So it serves as a reminder. You take a shower, you end up cleaning again, and you remember what you were committed to, so you can keep walking in that direction. And then finally, is people see this as a path of service, and this is the case for myself. Ayahuasca for many people, especially if done in a community where you can look up to and admire the progress and the way of being, the peace, the joyfulness of the shaman and the assistants, then it becomes a place where you want to hang out, a place where there's wise people, wise elder. You have a lot to learn from them, and they have a lot to teach you about life, right? So for a lot of people, they feel the calling to drink ayahuasca as a way to practice service, as a way to be in connection with a community, with a healthy community, and as a way to continue their journey of growth. And they feel that for some people, Christianism is what works. For some other people, South American shamanism is what feels close to their heart. So that's it. If you ever wonder why people keep drinking ayahuasca, sure, there's a group of people that come because they're confusing the ceremonies, they're confusing the tool for the result, and they think that the tool is the result, and it's not the case. So that is true, that happens. Number two, it is because people realize that in just a few nights, it's very hard to clean up 30, 40 years of conditioning or more. Number three, People have a great experience and they realize that they want to come back to reset, to reconnect to that which changed their life, right? So a sort of spiritual shower. And finally, they see this as their path, a path of service, a path of growth, a spiritual journey surrounded by people who can guide them, which is rare in today's world. So I hope this was useful, a bit of a longer video, but if you watch this and you're curious to sit in ceremony with us, links are below. Instagram, behind the scenes content, and future dates. So looking forward to seeing you soon.